Ladies and gentlemen, there's a breaking news that's coming in at this point. Actor Allu Arjun has broken his silence days after the Stampede tragedy in Hyderabad for the special screening of Pushpa 2 that saw one woman die and a child critical amid that stampede. Allu Arjun has said he's deeply heartbroken by the tragic incident and has shared his heartfelt condolences to the grieving family. Also has said that he will donate 25 lakhs to the kin of the deceased. The woman, as I said, was killed in the stampede. There's an 8-year-old child who's critically injured. Let's listen in.
Firstly, I would like to say condolences to the entire family. To Revati garu family ki condolences from me and the entire team of Pushpa. మేము ఏం చేసినా ఈ లాస్ మేము ఏం చేసినా ఎంత మాట్లాడినా దిస్ లాస్ కెన్ నెవర్ బీ కెన్ నెవర్ బీ కవర్డ్ అండ్ మా సైడ్ నుంచి వాట్ వీ వుడ్ లైక్ టు సే ఇస్ దట్ వీ వాంట్ టు టెల్ యూ దట్ వీఆర్ ఎమోషనలీ దేర్ ఫర్ యూ. మీకు ఏం కావాల్సిన మాకు కుదిరినంత శక్తిలో మీకు ఏ హెల్ప్ కావాలన్నా ఎలా కావాలన్నా వీ లైక్ టు టెల్ యూ దట్ వీ లైక్ టు బీ దేర్ ఫర్ యూ. అండ్ మా తరపు నుంచి నా తరపు నుంచి I'd like to donate an amount of rupees 25 lakhs. This is just as a goodwill gesture. అంటే నేను మీ వైపు ఐఎమ్ దేర్ ఫర్ యూ నా యాక్షన్స్లో చూడండి, నన్ను నమ్మండి, నేను మీకోసం ఉన్నాను అని ఒక జెస్చర్గా I'd like to give them 25 lakhs rupees for their future, to secure their future, and especially పిల్లలు ఉన్నారంట. So to tell them that I'll be there for them. వాళ్ళకి ఏ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ సపోర్ట్ కావాలన్నా కూడా we'll try to be there as much as possible అని ఒక గుడ్విల్ జెస్చర్గా చేస్తున్నాం. అండ్ దీనికి జరిగిన మెడికల్ ఎక్స్పెన్సెస్, దీనికి సంబంధం లేకుండా దీనికి జరిగిన మెడికల్ ఎక్స్పెన్సెస్, మిగతా ఎక్స్పెన్సెస్ అంతా కూడా మేము వీడ్ లైక్ టు టేక్ కేర్ ఆఫ్ ఇట్ అండ్ కీప్ యూ కంఫర్టబుల్ ఎట్ దిస్ అవర్. ఎందుకంటే వీ అండర్స్టాండ్ ఇట్స్ అ వెరీ డిఫికల్ట్ time for the family to deal with, and we'd like to do all the things to support you at this hour. And నా తరపు నుంచి మా ఎంటైర్ టీమ్ తరపు నుంచి మీ అందరికీ we'd like to say condolences to the family.
And I'm being joined by my colleague Somit at this point. Very good evening, Somit. Allu Arjun breaking his silence, saying he's heartbroken. Tell us the context. Tell us what does it mean as he reaches out to the family with what he has offered.
Allu Arjun has broke his silence on the Sandhya Theatre Shakeup. Actually, day before yesterday, when he has arrived there along with the Pushpa 2 crew, I know at that time, huge fans, thousands were there at that Sandhya Theatre. We were reporting from the spot, and very minimal police deployment was seen, and they were struggling to control the crowd, and massive crowd, forcibly entered into the gates, they barged into the gates, and resulting in stampede-like situation, chaos-like situation, where this 35-year-old woman died, and her son is still at the hospital in critical condition, and doctors said that till next 48 hours they can't say anything about the boy's condition. And, Allu Arjun has now broke his silence and said that he will be giving 25 lakhs ex gratia and also supporting the family in all means, and he has also conveyed condolences to the family.
Somit, thank you very much for joining us with those details. Ladies and gentlemen, midlife splits will is an increasing reality in India with the rising instances of grey divorces. Well, A.R. Rahman and Saira Banu may be the most recent celebrity Bollywood couple to move apart despite being married for 29 years. A.R. Rahman said they both had hoped to reach the grand 30. But there's an unseen end, saying even the throne of God may tremble at the weight of heartbroken or broken hearts. Kiran Rao Amir Khan split after 15 years of marriage. A relatively younger Amir Khan and his first wife Reena Dutt had split after 17 years of marriage. In fact, you have many others in Bollywood as well. People, in fact, were shocked after Bill Gates and Melinda French Gates divorced after 21 years of marriage in 2021. 21 years of marriage. They said there wasn't enough trust. So what is grey divorce? Essentially, divorce among couples aged 50 and older, or those who've lived a large part of their life together in marriage, traditionally seen as the more rebellious, youthful part of their lives. For a long time, one has in fact heard of how uncompromising or non-adjusting or over-ambitious the young are in an ever-changing India, particularly in context of increasing divorces. So what's happening to the elderly but young at heart? Are they breaking bad or breaking free? Some reasons given for the increasing cases are the empty nest syndrome, financial independence, changing health challenges, or is it just the lack of a health check and investment of all sorts, including emotional, into a marriage? We'll try and understand this even as India is seeing an increasing instance of this. Let me introduce my panelists at this point. I'm being joined by Rekha Agarwal, who's a family court lawyer, Dr. Harish Shetty, who's a psychiatrist, Tahira Hassan, who's a women's rights activist, and I'm also being joined by Barkhat Rehan, who is an activist. Thank you very much, all four of you, for joining us. Rekha Agarwal, can I just come to you first? You know, one, there is a rising number of grey divorces among celebrities. But what I'm trying to understand, and what is increasingly being reflected by experts, that this is a reality, an increasing reality in India as well. What do you make out of this? You are a person who handles a lot of cases on a day-to-day basis. How do you look at grey divorces particularly?
Sneha, at least I think 3 or 4 times a week I happen to go to the family courts in Delhi, and there are 6 courts in Delhi, family courts, and believe me, they are flooded with cases of divorces and marital issues. And the surprising trait that I myself have seen as a lawyer, and I spent almost 37 years at the bar now, that earlier when I started my career, there were very few people who were even coming for a divorce. So even young people were very few who would come for a divorce, and there was always an effort to patch up the differences. But now, not only have the young people, for whatever, for lack of patience or, other reasons that they are rushing to the courts and want an end to the marriage, but even a large number of people who have lived for at least 15 years, 20 years, very often there are couples whose children are even married, and a couple came to me where the son was married and they have a daughter-in-law in the family, but yet the in-laws, they both came to me together and they said that they wanted to opt out of the marriage and they wanted to do it in a dignified manner, which is called a divorce by mutual consent. So there are cases where there are divorces which are ending in a dignified manner by mutual consent. And at the same time, there are cases where the so-called grey couples are coming for, a single person is coming, either the husband or the wife, and they're complaining about what is called just... what should I say, that, we are just not able to get together, get along together. And I really wonder that after so many years of living together, so many years of cohabitation, so many years of just being in the same house, don't two people just get used to each other? It's more like a habit. But yet I'm surprised when not only men, but even women, and if I make look at the Indian cultural scenario, cultural and social scenario, where women are mostly supposed to be just homemakers, and there's a very traditional kind of a picture that we conjure for women, that just more like mothers. So when mothers come to me and say that we want to opt out of marriage, and I'm just not happy, and when I ask for the reason, there is no such reason of what we call cruelty. One of the biggest reasons or the legal reason in which a divorce can be granted in India under the Hindu Marriage Act is under Section 13, which is called divorce on the ground of mental and physical cruelty. But, often, now what is mental and physical? Physical cruelty, of course, is very clear. But what is mental cruelty is a very, very abstract term, because to each person it is, for a person, just one single abuse or one single, form of violence may constitute what is called mental cruelty. But for a woman or a man who have lived together for so many years, and now for them to say that we cannot live together anymore. And I often ask them that, why do you want to split now? You can just probably live together in the same house, under the same roof. At least you have each other as a security, moral security, physical security, financial security. Why do you want to opt out? And I'm surprised when the answer comes that I think enough is enough, and I think I want to live for myself. I want to do the kind of things that I've not been able to do my whole life because of the pressures which are attached with marriage. And I have nothing against my spouse. Very often they say I don't have really anything major against the other spouse, and I just want to live my life peacefully. Sometimes the man says it. Very often now it is the women. The rising trend that I've seen as a family court lawyer is that now even women are breaking their shackles, the taboo which is attached to divorce. In India, even now, let me just be very candid and say that still we don't look at divorce in a very positive manner. But now women are breaking free from those taboos, and they say, okay, fine, I can't live together with this man anymore, so be it. I don't care what the world says. I have to live for myself. So personal fulfillment, emotional fulfillment now comes in a very big manner.
Okay.
It matters a lot. The word I did not matter earlier.
Okay, Tahira Hassan, if I can get you in. Tahira, is interesting, with what Advocate Rekha just said. She says that women who are otherwise seen as mothers or are kept at a pedestal, they are coming forward and saying, I just want to move out of this marriage. She's talking also about men who are doing the same thing, and they want to do it in a very dignified way, not create a chaos around it, not making it ugly, as it were. What's behind this, Ms. Tahira?
That no doubt that divorce among the elderly people is increasing rapidly. But it's not only because of lack of compromises or something, tolerance, but the society has been changed. It's open, more progressive. Earlier it was considered that it is a wife's duty to save the marriage. Now it is not that. Now the wife wants her life. She wants control her life. She doesn't want to live in unhappy marriage. She doesn't wants a toxic marriage. She doesn't want to put on these things. And this Rekha ji was talking about the mental cruelty. Yes, mental violence you cannot see. The scar you cannot see. The women go through it. Because I'm the women rights activist, often the women come and tell me that my capability is often questioned by my husband. When this question, capability, means the husband says, अगर हम तुमको छोड़ देंगे कहाँ जाओगी? तुम क्या करोगी? What will you do? So these things, they just shatter her confidence. But now the women have access on education, knowledge and employment. So they are financially independent, and they live with the husband for longer time because of the children. Children are bridge. Still in India, I'm talking in the context of India, not in context of the world, globally. In India, the women live with the husband for the children, but after the children are settled down, they just want to move. They want their own life. And I don't think so. I disagree with Rekha ji with one point.
Hassan, are you essentially saying
I don't
that
mind if the
great
woman who doesn't want to
divorces
live in the
are on the
toxic
rise
marriage,
in
she can
India
go for the divorce.
because women are financially independent and more empowered? Is that what essentially you are saying, Ms. Tahira Hassan?
Empowered, and they want to live the life the way they want. Earlier, they were dependent. In past, they were dependent financially on the husband. There was no place to go. They used to put up, this toxic marriage. It was not easy for them to walk out of the toxic marriage. Now our young women, even though elderly women who are working and all, who are independent, they can move out of this unhappy marriage. They fix the priorities. They want their part in decision making. Mostly the women is still, they're still the 75%
Barkat Rehan, if I can get you in. I mean, I'm sure you've heard what Tahira Hassan has said. Right. Barkat Rehan, if I can get you in, do you look at it with the same prism?
Complement each other. There is no competition that who's going to leave the marriage, but still the divorce rates are going higher and higher. And the elderly couples, this trend is rising day by day. See, the whole life the man has been earning. Now it is time to relax, to understand each other, stand for each other. And at that time, I have dealt with so many cases and where women have left their partner at the old age. And then what happens? The man is vulnerable. He is mentally disturbed. He opts suicide. He has no recourse. The children also not these days. The children don't live with us.
What about women?
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, please go
I
ahead.
said, am I audible? Yes. So,
Yes, Ms.
I
yes,
need to
Ms.
say
Bhatta,
here,
please go ahead.
financial independence is good. Financial independence is good for both man and woman. But this doesn't mean that after living so many years, you come up with a complaint, you file a case, then see the legal system, how it works. Alimony, big fat alimony. You take that and you leave your husband for no reason. Because actually if you ask them what was the problem, they don't have anything. They just want to say that we want liberty. We want to live our lives. If you wanted to live your life alone, then why did you marry at all? Day one you didn't realize, so many years you didn't realize. But when the husband needs you the maximum, because while these years he's been catering to you, now you're leaving him for no reasons. And your children are already not there. So he has no support system. He is all alone on a barren land.
From
what
what
about that?
Barkat Rehan,
See,
from
the
what
legal
we are
system
gauging,
is so
from what
biased.
we are understanding, even what Rekha Agarwal was saying here, usually the talks are not really largely strangled in alimony or making it ugly. That's interestingly one thing which is very different from those who are
Consent.
seeking a divorce.
No,
The grey divorces, as
I'm
it
so
were,
sorry.
after a certain age, when you
I'm
compare
so
it to the
sorry.
younger lot. Miss Rekha, am I correct or wrong in my inferences about that?
Absolutely right.
No alimony.
Absolutely
I
right.
have
I
dealt
fully
so many
endorse what you
cases
said, that
where
nowadays,
alimony is there.
Okay, Barka, I'll come to you. Let Miss
In
Rekha
some
respond, and I'll
cases,
come
yes,
to you for
there may be
you to respond to Miss Rekha as well. So, Miss Rekha, go ahead.
Sneha, what I was just stating is that most of the younger couples who come, who are fighting in the courts and they want to separate, there's a big, it's a very, very, contentious litigation. Both have got their daggers drawn, and alimony is a very, very big question, which is going to be the deciding factor, where the woman actually wants a pound of flesh, and if not more. But the rising trend in grey divorces has also shown that here both of them are more matured. The husband is also matured, the wife is also matured, and therefore whereas the question of alimony is there, they mostly decide it in a very amicable manner. There is generally a MOU, a settlement. Often there is a settlement even before they come to me and they say that we have decided that, okay, this house, because very often what happens is that after so many years of living together, the properties are joint. The house can be joint. They can have two houses which are joint, or the husband can have an office space to himself. The wife can have the house to herself. So very often these couples who come to me, who are what we call looking for a grey divorce, they have got a more matured and a more pragmatic outlook, towards the separation. They want to do it in a respectable manner. The husband also realizes that my wife needs the money for, supposing the wife is not financially independent, then the husband is more willing to give her the alimony that she requires, because he realizes that this is not just because she's looking to, she's not a gold digger. Otherwise, most often the young couples think that the wife is a gold digger. But in these matured couples, the husband now realizes the fact that whatever money that she may be asking for is for her own needs, for her own individual needs. And she's not a gold digger. She's not going to run away with another man, or she's not having an affair. But these kind of problems are often there in the younger divorces. But in the older divorces, the grey areas, the grey couples, that they are much more
Okay.
matured and dignified
Okay.
about it, and they settle
Okay.
their financial problems across the table. And it's often just often it is a case of
Okay.
exchange. The problem, of course, happens when there are retirement benefits to be looked at, pension issues, health, insurance. These factors are often decided in an amicable manner.
All right. Okay. Dr. Harish Shetty, I'm waiting to come to ask you a question. But before that, Barkat Rehan has a right to respond. So, Barkat Rehan, please
Rekha
go
ji
ahead.
said-
We just heard Ms. Rekha from her experience break it down. She's saying alimony or the daggers being out is not really the trademark of how these divorces usually come out in the open.
See, I have seen many cases where the burden is always on the man, the financial, and Rekha ji is to an extent right. But I have seen many cases where big alimony is taken by the wives even after 30 years of marriage, and they want to separate with all the property. They are demanding for the major part of the property, and nobody is talking about what is happening with the man, because the children are already not with him. The wife has taken all the alimony. She has taken the major part of his earnings. So he is facing the financial burden. So here I am trying to point out is that it has become not, previously it was Bollywood. Now it is like everyone wants to get this done, because it's an easy way to go out of the marriage, take a huge amount and do whatever you feel like. Everybody is very fond. Like many of the women, they want to do many other, in the society, they want to showcase their work or whatever they want. They don't want to be with their husbands. No compatibility, nothing. Every issue is there that I don't want to live
Compatibility
with you
can't be
without
the
any reason.
Compatibility is the
separate.
onus of
My
a couple.
happiness,
A husband and a wife.
my life, my
the
happiness.
onus of compatibility can't be put only on the wife, irrespective of which side of the debate you are, irrespective of which gender, which couple, or whoever you support. I think one thing is established: compatibility is across gender, is for everyone who is a couple. It's not just one part of that couple or one individual who forms that couple. But Dr. Harish Shetty, if I can get you in, I mean, look at this discussion that just happened here. Look at the articles that everyone seems to be reading. And one thing that comes to one's mind is you've possibly lived the most rebellious part of your life together. The most, some would say the most difficult part of, coming together, living together. Some would say enjoyable, some would say difficult. I would say also the rebellious part, because the youth is often, regarded as the rebellious equivalent of life. All that is well past. You've reached a threshold where life should be getting happier, easier. It's just the two of you. You have more time to each other, so on and so forth. And yet you have these cases increasing. What's the mindset, psyche behind it all?
In the last 40 years, what I see now in the last 20 years is great divorces are increasing. Why? The stigma of divorce has gone down. Na koi shaan hai, na koi sharam hai. There's no fame and there's no shame. That is number one. Number two, globalized angst has caused a lot of burden on relationships, all relationships. I mean, it really hits across all relationships. Third reason, which is very important, is there has been simmering differences for a very long time. And one of the spouses says, I want to quit as of now. There's an awakening which happens in 35 or 40 years. It happens also in 65 and 70 years. Next is, one spouse went and told his partner that I have had an affair when I was 40, and now they are above 70. And the other spouse said, nothing doing, I want a divorce. I told that spouse that this is 30 years old, no, I want a divorce. And that is something which is also happening. Also, in elderly, we need to understand that the changes what is happening in the brain, which is not seen by advocates, which is not understood by lawyers and activists also. Sometimes a small change in the brain can cause suspicion, and that suspicion will not be shared. But because of the suspicion, the trauma which one spouse goes through, and if that spouse says, I have enough, I have friends, I have family, and I can really go away, not face this. The point is, nobody is willing to tolerate the entire philosophy is, I will not tolerate anything now. I have tolerated enough. Next is, there is something known as masked depression, very common in the elderly. And that causes aloofness, quietness, irritability, agitation, either of those. And this is never diagnosed. I would say all these elderly people should undergo psychological evaluation. Lastly, Shreya, there is peer influence also in divorce. There are 2 or 3 men or women who talk about this divorce and they help each other to get a divorce from their spouses. So there's also a peer buzz which is happening among the elderly. Why not? Why not? And it's not only about the woman against the man or the man against the woman. It's about one partner against the other. I had a couple the other day whom the court had referred to me. The court was tired because they were not appointing advocates and they were going and arguing that case on their own. I called the extended members of the family. I also called their friends who were accessible to me. But in this 21st century, sabak sikhaunga. I will teach him a lesson. I will teach her a lesson. It's not about the 20s, 30s, 40s. It starts also in the 60s and the 70s. I will teach him a lesson. I want to separate. All divorce among the elderly is not smooth, is not quiet, is not easy. No, it's not mature. There are many different types of divorces. Psychological evaluation is a must. And what is very important sometimes, accept that they have to separate. There is no fame, there is no shame. Stigma has gone down, and in valid cases, we should help them separate respectfully. But the point is, suspicion, depression, early Alzheimer's can also be precipitating factors for divorce.
I think very, very important insights. Rekha Agarwal, we're totally out of time, but I do want to come to you for the last question, Rekha Agarwal. In your cases that you have seen, do you counsel them? Do these people, are they open to counseling, or have they made up their mind as a couple because they're living together as a couple? They're in the same house, they're doing their daily chores together. When they come to you, have they already made up their mind, or do they go through periods of counseling as well?
I'll say both. There are both kind of cases who come to me. There are some couples who come there who are living under the same roof, sharing the same roof and same bed also. And yet, so those kind of couples, when I try to counsel them, they've already made up their mind. But there are some couples who are separated, and they've been separated for a long period of time. And in those cases, when I try to counsel them and I see that is there any chance of you getting together or not, they are more open to reasoning because there are differences which are very palpable. As Dr. Harish Shetty said, that all grey divorces do not end up in a mature manner. In such kind of cases where, where the parties are separated, the issue of money, alimony, insurance, pension, retirement benefits, etc. become a very, very major reason. Of course, thankfully by now, the children are grown up. In such cases, the children are always adults. So there is no question of custody of the children. So that emotional problem is not there. But now it's always the financial problem.
I think there are so much more layers to talk about this. We're totally out of time at this point. Barkhat Rehan, Tahira Hassan, Rekha Agarwal, as well as Dr. Harish Shetty, thank you very much for joining us. Definitely a reality in India. We'll have to see how this really steers forward because, we've heard a lot about how the young have not heard their elders, have rebelled their ways. But for the elderly, it's still an open question. Is it breaking bad or is it breaking free? Thank you very much for tuning in. Time for a very short break.